4:15 by Emily Dickinson. Sunset at night is natural, but sunset on the dawn reverses nature, master. So midnight's due at noon. Eclipses be predicted, and science bows them in, but do one face us suddenly, Jehovah's watch is wrong. Okay, science review time. Night is by definition the interval between sunset and sunrise, the period when there is no sunlight. Night is not, in the strictest sense, a measurement of time. Time is a component quantity of many measurements used to sequence events, to compare the durations of events and the intervals between them, and to quantify rates of change of quantities in material reality or in the conscious experience. Basically, time is a group of numbers that we have all agreed to use to measure an abstract thing. While a great deal of the inspiration for time is based on the sun's relative position to us, time is no longer dependent on the sun. So to be clear, night is entirely based on the rotation of the Earth, not on an arbitrary range of numbers. It doesn't matter if it takes you 12 minutes or 12 hours. We measure night with time, not the other way around. This is important. Remember this. Now let's take another look at the poem. Line 1. Sunset at night is natural. Did you catch that? It's very sly. In the opening line of this poem, the speaker, we'll nickname her Emily, has already changed the definition of night. Here, night is time, night is the constant. Cause and effect have been shown to the door. They aren't needed in this poem. It appears as though night will happen at a certain time each day, regardless of what the sun is doing. She goes on, but sunset on the dawn reverses nature, master. Sorry, Emily, but now you're just being silly and not making any sense. You can't have sunset be at dawn. Dawn is one of those by definition things, unless you've decided that dawn isn't the time when sun comes up, but instead dawn is now 6 a.m. or something like that, and thus made dawn and the entire concept therein meaningless. So now the days are going backwards, midnight is happening when noon should, and vice versa. The world is turned upside down. Yes, the speaker said that this flip-flop was going against nature, but nothing really changed. Night is still night, day is still day. Yes, the world is spinning backwards, but it is doing so regularly. Time is still following the same rules it always did, apparently. It just inverted itself. A few years down the hypothetical road, people won't even notice the change. Only really bullheaded people would continue to call the dark periods day and the sunny periods night, or everyone would call the periods of darkness daytime and the periods of sunniness nighttime, and the words would switch meanings, because that's how language works. In the second stanza, Emily, our speaker, brings a bit of religion into this, which is just bound to rustle some jimmies. If you're like me, you probably thought about a solar eclipse, given that she was just recently talking about the sun in the dark, and the sun being dark when it shouldn't be. Astronomers have been predicting the time and location of solar eclipses for thousands of years. In fact, a Chinese emperor named Zhong Kang supposedly beheaded 2 astronomers about 4,000 years ago for not being able to accurately predict a solar eclipse. For those of you keeping track, that's before telescopes, the heliocentric model of the solar system, or even the discovery of America. Just because some people managed to think with their brains and realize that solar eclipses were just a thing that happens when the moon passes between the Earth and the sun doesn't mean that most people in the world didn't sacrifice an extra virgin or two every time the gods got miffed and blotted out the sun for a few minutes. In fact, the word eclipse even comes from a Greek word which means the abandonment, the downfall, or the darkening of a heavenly body, which is derived from the verb form of the same word, which means to abandon, to darken, or to cease to exist. Whatever type of eclipse the speaker is referring to, I think we can all agree that the notion of something, in this case science, bowing or ushering in an abandonment or ceased existence of something is a pretty frightening concept. Because with the possible exception of newborn sharks who would be eaten if their mothers stuck around, being abandoned is a pretty bad thing. But I think we can also agree that while being introduced to a new concept is pretty scary, an introduction is almost always preferable to a total surprise. The last 2 lines of this poem are chilling and really drive home what the speaker has been setting up so far. In case you've forgotten how sentence structure works, the 1 in line 7 refers to an eclipse. We'll again use the imagery of a solar eclipse since the speaker so thoughtfully dangled that in front of us. The thing about solar eclipses is that they are a fact of nature, and besides one time-traveling Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's court, nobody can possibly control them. Since we've been talking about time getting all wibbly-wobbly, probably the first image Jehovah's watch conjures is a wristwatch on the wrist of a grandfatherly-looking man. Though other definitions of watch have to do with a person looking at something and tend to imply that said watchman is being attentive and looking for danger, the point Dickinson's making with this poem that I've been working my way slowly towards this whole time is that people don't like change, especially big or sudden changes. The last line forces the reader to make a difficult choice. They must choose to believe that either God made a mistake or else admit the inadequacy of their own knowledge and take responsibility for their unwillingness to change. Sometimes the facts just aren't facts. The Earth was never flat, nor was it ever the center of the universe. Solar eclipses have always been because of the moon upstaging the sun. Left-handed people were not tainted by the devil. Probably. We look back and laugh at the stupidity of ancient and superstitious beliefs, but when the time comes for us to change the facts, what do? We picket school integration and harass mixed-race and same-sex couples because it's against the natural order of things.